Hey everybody, welcome to Webby on Cars. Today I'm going to be giving you a review of the 2022 Lexus NX450h+. This is the top of the range plug-in hybrid version of the new 2022 NX range. Starts off with the 250 at the entry level, you get a 350, 350 hybrid, and then we top out at the 450h+ plug-in hybrid. The range starts at just over $60,000 plus on road costs, and goes all the way up to this one here, which is just under $90,000 plus on road costs. And obviously there's various different packages and trim levels in between. But as I say, today we're going to concentrate on the 450h+ plug-in hybrid. We're going to start by having a look around the car on the outside, look at some of the new features for 2022. We'll also have a look at the inside of the car, show you some of the new technology, some of the interior options you can get on this car. And then also we'll go for a drive and see what it's like out on the open road. So if that sounds like something you're going to enjoy, stick around to the end when you'll get my final thoughts and reviews on this NX450h+ plug-in hybrid. So without further ado, let's get started on the outside of the car and show you some of the new bits and what's been changed for 2022. So starting on the outside of this new NX, first I need to tell you that this is the only trim level that this engine and powertrain comes in. So it's the F Sport model, so that means you get all the nice sporty bits on the outside of the car, like the body kit around the outside. You've got the bigger 20-inch alloy wheels. There's also a couple of new bits and pieces for this year, and also some bits and pieces that are new to the NX for this year as well. Starting off, one nice addition to this year, you get these tri-beam LED headlights, but they've also got adaptive high beam as well. So basically that means with your high beams, you can block out one half of the road but keep the high beam working on the other side of the road. So you don't blind people coming the opposite way to you, but you still get the benefit of having the high beam on the other side of the road so you can see where you're going. And that's a new feature for this year on the NX. As I said, we get all the F Sport styling. So we've got the nice huge grille at the front with the gloss black surrounds. And we've got this silver sort of satin finish lip spoiler down at the bottom here as well. The front styling of this is actually quite aggressive. I really like it. And it's been sort of like the theme of Lexus over the past few years. They've got these really big grilles at the front, and very recognisable when you see one coming towards you. So while we're at the front of the car, let's talk about what's under the bonnet. You've got a 2.5 litre 4-cylinder petrol engine and an 18.1 kilowatt battery. Combine those two together and we actually get 227 kilowatts of power, which is plenty enough to power this car along 0 to 100 in 6.3 seconds. Now the official combined cycle is 1.3 litres per 100, but that's obviously going to vary depending on how much time you spend using it in fully electric mode, whether you spend it in hybrid mode, or you go full power and put it in everything mode basically. So it is going to vary depending on what sort of driving you do. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that when we get behind the wheel and drive the car, because obviously that's a big part of what this car is all about. Now coming around the side of the car, the F Sport styling continues with these nice dark chrome 20-inch alloy wheels, which are wrapped in Bridgestone run flat tyres. We've also got things like gloss black door mirrors, the gloss black trims above the door handles and also on the roof rails. And then also around the windows, we've got the same sort of black chrome finish from the wheels around the window frames. So it's a really sporty looking car. And then coming around to the back of this new NX, we can see the new styling from things like the LED rear tail lights, the LED light bar, which goes all the way from one side to the other to the car, the new Lexus badging, which a lot of manufacturers are doing nowadays, spreading the name of the manufacturer out across the back of the boot. It looks sort of quite voguey, I suppose you'd call it. Then the bottom, that satin silver that we had at the front also continues at the back of this fake diffuser. When you open the boot, which is electric as standard obviously, we've got 520 litres of carrying capacity in here, which is decent enough for most people. We've then got two charging cables that come standard with the car. We've got the one which you can use when you're out and about for public charging, and then in this little case here you've got the cable that you can actually use when you're at home, that you can just plug into the standard wall socket in your house. Now also within the price of the car, Lexus will also come and install a fast charger for you at home free of charge. I don't necessarily think you'd need that, because being a fairly small battery, you could plug this in overnight and it will charge up till the next morning anyway. So I don't know, maybe it's good for some people, but I don't think it's as important as if you had, say, a fully electric car, because you would need to fast charge that overnight before you start off your journey the next morning. Now before we get started on the inside of this new NX, I just want to give a big shout out to Lexus Of Berwick for lending me the car for this review. If you're looking for a new or used Lexus, I'm going to put their contact details in the description of the video. So give them a call, go and pay them a visit. They're a fantastic bunch of guys and girls. They'll really look after you. So go over to Lexus Of Berwick for a new or used Lexus. Also, if you're enjoying the video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit the notification bell, and that way you'll find out every time a new car review goes live. So let's have a look at the inside. Now, one thing I do really like, and this might seem sort of trivial or not everybody's going to think the same as me, but when you go to open the car, the door handle itself doesn't actually move. There's a little sort of touch sensor just inside, so you squeeze it and the door opens. It's a real sort of strange thing to sort of like, but when you actually tried it, it's weird. It's sort of like, oh yeah, that's really nice. You probably think I'm being a little bit weird now, and that's fine, I understand. But if you ever go to a Lexus dealership and have a look at one of these, it's just a real strange sensation. But yeah, just try it out and you think, oh, that's quite cool. I wish every car was like that. Anyway, let's have a look inside before you think I've gone really weird. Right, so now we're going to come on to the inside of this new Lexus NX. Starting off with the door, we've got the usual buttons there for your windows and mirrors and that type of thing. But we've also got this new style door latch as well. Instead of having like a lever at the top here that you pull to open the door, with this you literally push the button and push against the door to open the door. It's quite strange at first, but actually it works really well in practice. We've got a standard 10 speaker setup for the sound system. We don't get the Mark Levinson unfortunately on some of the other models, but that's fine. Now in terms of interior trim, as you can see, this car is fully black, but being the F Sport model, you can also choose two other finishes. You can have the black and white combination or the black and red combination. I particularly think the black and red would look good on this car, just because obviously it's a little bit sporty. But what I can tell you, these seats are superbly comfortable. As you can see, there's loads of bolstering down the side here, also down here, sort of with the leg section as well. They're perforated because the seats are heated and ventilated. And then when we come down here, we can also see they're fully electric, including lumbar adjustment there as well. And then up on the door, we've got the 3-position memory settings as well, which is really nice, particularly if you've got different height drivers using the car. And with the rest of the car, we've got the new style infotainment system there, plus also the new digital dashboard there as well, and also some new buttons on the steering wheel, which we'll get into in a minute. Also standard is this sunroof as well. It's not quite the panoramic sunroof that you get on some of the other models, but I'll explain a bit more about that when we actually get driving. So this is the view you get from the driver's seat. We've got a beautiful leather wrapped steering wheel in front of us. We've got these haptic buttons on the steering wheel, which control different functions on also the front display and also the head-up display, which we've got in front there as well. We've got this brand new massive 14-inch infotainment screen, which has got built-in Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, as well as sat-nav, etc, etc. We'll have a look at that in a minute. There's not many buttons down here, so it is very sort of simplistic in terms of its design. There's not lots of confusion going on. A lot of it is on that infotainment screen, but we do find a couple of charging points for standard USB plus USB-C. We've then also got a wireless charging mat as well. And then sneakily underneath, there's a bit more storage as well, which is actually quite a good idea, because you've got plenty of storage plus another 12-volt socket, or you can use it as a bit of storage to hide stuff. That's quite a neat idea actually. We've got a couple of cup holders as usual, gear stick, buttons there for switching the car between the different EV driving modes, and then also your electric handbrake. So it's normal stuff, but when you look around you can actually see how nicely finished everything is. It's really premium. It's not just, you know, a posh Toyota as some people call a Lexus. The materials on use are really premium. It definitely feels like $100,000 worth of car in here. Now when we turn the car on, so the power button is just up here to the left of the steering wheel. We'll turn that on and it will bring the electric seat to your previous position. Give it another press, brings everything into life. How's that for a start-up information system? Press the continue button there, bring everything to life. You've got the digital display there in front of the driver, which looks fantastic. It's telling me I've got to push the pedal. There we go. We are now live, so to speak. So yeah, we're fully ready to go. And as you can see just in here, I'll zoom in a little bit here. So where you've got this green symbol here, that's telling you what driving mode you're in. So down here, we've got the different driving modes here, so between normal, sport, economy, etc. But the buttons down here that we looked at a minute ago, that will change between the different driving modes in terms of, are you using just pure electric, are you doing a bit of both, or are you going to put it in full power mode and get that full 227 kilowatt. So let's have a better look at this steering wheel then. So as I said, these buttons here are like haptic buttons. So when you put your finger on them, there we go, if you just have a look there, up in the head-up display, it actually tells you different things. You can see my finger moving around the button there. Now from there we come across, as I mentioned earlier, we've got this huge 14-inch infotainment display, which is standard on this F Sport model. The more basic models do get a smaller display, but thankfully, as I say, we've got this large 14-inch display there as well. As I said, it's got Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, although you do actually need to plug them in. Which is a bit of a disappointment. I'd have thought now in 2022 they'd be able to make it wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. As well as that, you've also got all your air conditioning functions across the middle here, and these two dials here actually operate your temperature. So if we just bring that into life, there you go, you can see in that little window there, it tells us what the temperatures are on both sides of the car. We've also got heated and cooled seats as well, and a heated steering wheel, so we've got some nice functions there as well, which is good to see. So overall, it's a really nice interior. As you can see, it's a lovely place. All the materials look really, really nice. It's very high quality in here. Now coming into the back of this new NX, and as you can see, the actual access to get in and out of the car is really, really easy. The door opens nice and wide, so you can actually get in without hitting your head on the door frame. Once you get in, there's plenty of legroom in the back here. I can stretch out nice and easily. Heaps and heaps of legroom. I can also get my feet underneath the driver's seat, which is really nice as well. Because if you're on a long journey, you can actually stretch your legs out and just makes it much more comfortable. We've got these push button exit buttons on the doors as well, which we had in the front of the car. We've got a couple of pockets on the back if you want to store iPads or other devices or books. We've got air vents in the back as well, which is nice to see. It doesn't have rear temperature controls for the passengers, which I thought it might have, but you know, that's a by the by. It doesn't really matter, I suppose. You can still get the air conditioning into the back of the car. Down the bottom, we've got two USB-C fast charging points as well, ideal for keeping the phones or iPads charged for the kids. Plus also, we've got a 12-volt socket down the back there as well, so plenty of charging options there. In terms of headspace, there's actually acres of headspace in the back here. I mean, I'm fairly lucky, I'm quite short, but even if you were much taller than me, I still think you'd be quite comfortable. I'm going to say the driver's seat is in my driving position. I've got acres of space back here, so this would be a really comfortable place to sit. Coming down here then, we've also got the obligatory fold-down armrest with a couple of cup holders there in the middle. So yeah, it's a nice place to be in the back here. There's not too much of a transmission tunnel here either. So if you were having to sit in the middle, yeah, it's actually quite good. A lot of cars you tend to find being in the middle seat, you know, with a transmission tunnel between your legs, it's a bit uncomfortable. And although you've got to put your legs, actually no, you can put your legs on the little hump that's there in the middle. That's actually not too bad, to be fair. So you could actually fit 3 people in the back of this car without too much inconvenience or discomfort for anybody. Visibility out the back isn't too bad either. You get a nice view ahead of the road, decent sized windows at the front. You get a little bit of light coming in from the sunroof. It doesn't get the full length panoramic sunroof that some of the other models get, but that's because Lexus have tried to save some weight for this plug-in hybrid model to try and get the maximum fuel efficiency out of it. Right, so now we've had a good look around the outside and the inside of the car. Let's take it for a drive and see what it's like out on the open road. but also have a bit of a chat about some of the other features that come with this car, like running costs and bits and pieces like that. As is normal with any electric or hybrid vehicle, it's perfectly quiet when you're running in full electric mode. But the nice thing is, like a lot of hybrid vehicles that come from Toyota or Lexus, the transition between electric and using the petrol engine as well is absolutely seamless. They have been doing this for years. They've made it an art form basically, and they do it so well. They do such a fantastic job. The steering is actually really nicely weighted. Sometimes you sort of find power steering systems these days are a bit over-assisted and a bit artificial, but this one's actually really nice. The driving position is really good as well. These sport seats hug you in really nicely, and you've got a great view of the road ahead, and the pedals are nicely in front of your legs, just where you'd expect them to be. Also, having a head-up display projected onto the windscreen in front of you is really handy as well. It gives you lots of essential information as you're driving, so you don't have to take your eyes off the road and look down at the display in front of the driver. Road holding plus also suspension is really good. I was half expecting with those 20-inch wheels and bun-flat tyres, the ride would be a bit bumpy and uncomfortable, particularly on some of the roads we get here in Melbourne that are, you know, not quite in the city but a bit further out, and they're a bit bumpy and lumpy and potholes and everything everywhere. Now, as you'd imagine, safety, being this is a brand new 2022 model, is fantastic. You've got all the usual standard stuff like autonomous braking and lane keeping and blind spot, but it's also got some new features as well. And it's becoming apparent a lot of manufacturers, they're putting this in their cars. And it's a system that helps you with junctions, so it's traffic assist, or a version of whatever they call it with different manufacturers. So it basically helps you if you're going across traffic at junctions, if you're turning left at junctions. It just makes it a lot safer when you're driving along. Also on this new NX, we're getting the new Lexus connected system as well. So that's where you get an app that you can control some of the features on the car with your phone. It's also where it can alert the emergency services if you have an accident. So it's a little bit like, I suppose, what you get on BMW with their connected drive. Mercedes have it on their cars as well. And even Ford have the emergency assistance on their cars too. When you put your foot down, and I'm in automatic mode, so it will switch between petrol and electric, or a bit of both, automatically without me doing anything. You put your foot down and it responds really well. It's not noisy, it's pretty quiet. Yeah, it's just a very sort of pleasant driving experience, even if you, like I say, you put your foot down and wanting to get moving a little bit. You get a 5-year warranty as standard to cover the whole car, but then you also get a 10-year, 160,000 kilometre warranty just for the battery itself. So that should last you plenty of time, and certainly cover most people's ownership of the car. Servicing is also pretty reasonable. The first 3 servicing is capped at $14.95 for the first 3 services, and your service intervals are every 12 months or 15,000 kilometres. And for a car that's, you know, it's an SUV, sits up high, it's on run-flat tyres, it actually handles surprisingly well. You know, I'm throwing this thing around, not at fast, crazy speeds, but I'm not necessarily having to brake too much to go into a corner, and it's handling it really well. And $100,000 does seem an awful lot of money for this type of car, when you can save yourself a fair few thousand and get the 350 hybrid model, which would do pretty much the same job, because obviously it's a petrol hybrid car. But yeah, I guess if you want that full EV experience and being able to put it in full EV mode at your choosing, this 450h would make it's a fantastic proposition. So that brings us to an end to the video of this Lexus NX450 plug-in hybrid. If you've enjoyed the video, don't forget to give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and also hit that notification bell to find out every time a new video goes live. Again, a massive shout out to Lexus Of Berwick for lending me the car for review. Massive thanks to them. As I said earlier in the video, their contact details will be in the description of the video. So thanks very much for joining me for the video. Hope you've enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you all in the next one.